Good evening and welcome to this edition of WTV News. My name is Zawadi Mudibo. Youth empowerment, the journey of Umoina Matatus. A rare machine in Somalia, and that is no other than the automated teller machine. Now, Africa's unemployment rate or population and youth unemployment has been growing at a major rate that is challenging the continent. In Kenya, the unemployment rate has been growing at a rate of more than 40% for the last 2 years. And despite this gloomy picture, we have had youth taking advantage of initiatives such as the Youth Fund to create ventures that help them sustain themselves and also provide employment for other peers. Biko Rading has that wonderful report.
Nearly 3 million people in sub-Saharan Africa are aged between 10 and 24 years. Africa has the highest concentration of young people anywhere on the planet. In 2010, a group of determined Kenyan youth started a savings scheme as a way of raising funds to start a matatu business in Nairobi.
Kama sako ilianza 2010. Lakini before hiyo tulianzaga kama conductors na wengine walikuwa wa kuchunga stage. Then tukaona ni vizuri tuchange pesa tununue gari yetu bala kuandikwa. So tukashikana watu 8 tukaanza kutoa 200 shillings per day for 5 days. So tulikuwa tuna save 8,000 kila mwezi, kila wiki. So kwa mwezi ilikuwa inakuja total kama 32,000. Tukasave kwa muda, tukakuja tukajoin Kere Bank kama microfinance as a self-help group. Tukakuwa tukisave, so Kere Bank wakakuwa wanatupatia loans, tunalipa tukijinua. Tukaendelea hivyo, serikali ikakuja ikasema inataka watu operate biashara ya matatu wakiwa kwa SACCOS. So tuka approach Mheshimiwa Ibrahim Joni atusaidie badala ya kutupatia handouts. Tukamwambia mheshimiwa, kama kuna uwezo tusaidie tu register SACCO, at least tuweze kutusaidia. Ibrahim Joni aliweza kutusaidia tukaregister SACCO Umoina.
With just 2 vans and a loan from a bank, the Umoina SACCO was born.
Tukiregister Umoina SACCO tulikuwa na Nissan 2. Tukashikana na watu wengine ambao walikuwa naona kazi yetu vile sisi tunafanyaga na wanaelewa. Tukaona ni vizuri sasa tutoke kwa Nissan tukuje kwa basi. Sasa ndio tuliweza kununua basi yetu ya kwanza mwaka wa 2012. Na members wengine wakanunua mabasi, wengine wakakuja wakatujoin, na ndio Umoina sasa unaiona hapo iko.
Though the matatu sector has faced a lot of bad publicity, especially those in the eastern area, Muya decided to create a good rapport among his customers.
Na dereva akipatikana makosa conductor tunapoa suspension ya 2 weeks or a month. Then tunakuweka kwa record ya kwamba wewe tuna monitor kwa sababu umpatikana makosa. Kuja the second time, the third time tunakuexpel. Kalafuta kazi mahali pengine. Na tuna notify NTSA ya kwamba kuna driver fulani ama kuna conductor fulani documents zake ndio hizi, tabia yake ni mbaya. So hata akienda kuandikwa kazi mahali pengine, mjue wewe tabia yake ni mbaya. Ndio huyu mtu usitoe uchafu hapa aende apeleke uchafu mahali pengine. Hizo ni baadhi ya reforms zile tunaleta kwa industry.
The Umoina SACCO has grown so far. It has employed more than 300 youth on both full-time and part-time basis. The group not only offers jobs to the youth, it also offers financial advice to its members. They now have more than 104 minibuses and are looking to expand to 300 by the end of this year.
Tunataka tuwe the best SACCO. Maybe wengine watu join wala watashindwa na kazi. Kwa maana vile sheria inaelekea, wengine najua watashindwa na kazi. Na so sisi tunataka kutia bidii tusishindwe na kazi.
More youth and groups are encouraged to start small, and their quest for prosperity will for sure be achieved from a single step to the most desired destination of 1,000 miles. Rading Biko, reporting for WTV.
And now moving on, we look at the opposition leader, Raila Odinga. After 3 weeks in absentia, he traveled to the United States and went to Mozambique as an observer of the elections there. He returned to Kenya in a considerably warm reception. However, he did not lack sentiments about the developments in the Kenyan political scene. Let's take a look at that report by Winnie Otieno.
The former Prime Minister received a warm welcome after the 3-week absentia. The Prime Minister congratulated the President for his decision to travel to The Hague for the status conference of his cases.
If there is no evidence, then there's no point in proceeding with the case. And the ICC is a court that consists of lawyers, very eminent lawyers there. Even the prosecutors themselves are lawyers. So they will know when it's time to quit.
He although criticized the too many theatrics that accompanied him on the trials.
So what was so special about going to the ICC? And go there, as me and the Vice President will be acting. So there's no need, in my view, of calling the whole Parliament, saying I'm handing over.
The tug of war between the National Assembly and the Executive has been on the headlines in the recent past after President Uhuru Kenyatta ordered his cabinet secretary to ignore summons by the MPs to appear in the House.
They are not members of Parliament, therefore you should never invite them to come and intimidate them on the floor of the whole House.
This did not go down well by the MPs. Fortunately, the cabinet secretaries received backings from the Prime Minister.
There's a clear separation of powers. You've got the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary.
The court leader threw his weight behind the decision to have cabinet secretaries ignore summons by the National Assembly. Speaking on his return from Mozambique, where he was an election observer, Raila, however, rapped the National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi for what he called blatant disregard for court orders. Reporting for WTV News, I'm Winnie Otieno.
Let's cross our borders and look at something very interesting. Think of Somalia. Probably what comes to your mind is terror. What has been happening as far as the Kenya Defense Forces and AMISOM forces have been involved in the fight against the Al-Shabaab militants. However, think again, a bank operating in the country. Accessing money in Somalia just got a lot easier, and Salam Somalia Bank put up the country's first ATM machine. And the customers are now lining up for an experience that is a first for an economy still recovering from an impact of more than 2 decades of war.
It is a service that people around the world would take for granted, but in Somalia, for the first time ever, residents can now withdraw money from an ATM in their capital, Mogadishu. The cash machine was put up by Salam Somali Bank, which has been operating in Somalia since 2009.
We launched this ATM in Somalia because there's a great need that Somali people really want, and we are planning to install more ATMs in the whole of Somalia in coming months.
Salam Somalia Bank's ATM service allows customers to withdraw using Visa, MasterCard or American Express.
It's a good opportunity for Somalians to have an ATM in Mogadishu because it was too hard to withdraw money from MasterCard or Visa, and this shows how our country is making progress day after day.
Commercial banking in Somalia disappeared in the early 1990s when the country plunged into more than 2 decades of civil war. Now the African nation of 10 million people is working to rebuild from scratch. About 40% of all Somali families rely on remittances from other countries. Western money transfer companies such as Western Union Company and MoneyGram International do not serve most parts of Somalia. This leaves the significantly cheaper and more informal money service businesses to serve as intermediaries between the foreign banks that make the wire transfers and the intended recipients of the money. The ATM services provided by the Salam Somalia Bank are a sign that the economy is slowly taking shape. With plans to roll out more cash machines around the country, Mr. Olo feels confident saying that it is time to expand their business. Despite the stability troubles in Somalia, Salam Somalia has seen the need to improve the lives of its people. Reporting for WTV News, I am Marianne Njeri.
Well, that report was filed by Marianne Wanganga Njeri. Thank you very much for that report. Now to some sporting action, and Spanish teams shined pretty well in, Wednesday night, UEFA Champions League, with Real Madrid overcoming frantic start at Anfield to cruise into a commanding 3-0 halftime lead against Liverpool in the Champions League group stage match, which while Atletico Madrid, hammered Malimo 5-0. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo opened the scoring with a precise pass from James Rodriguez that took out Liverpool defense and allowed him to strike expertly first time into the far corner of the net of the half volley. Now, Karim Benzema scored a brace to complete the thrashing in other matches. Arsenal struck 2 late goals to come from behind to secure a much-needed Champions League win against Anderlecht in Brussels, and Borussia Dortmund outrooted Galatasaray to a 4-0 win, while Olympiacos outclassed the Italian giants Juventus in a 1-0 dramatic match. UEFA Europa League kicks off tonight, and including Tottenham versus Tripolis, Everton versus Lille, and Sevilla facing a Standard Liège. That is all from the news desk and the entire technical team at WTV. We appreciate each one of us, particularly our cameraman. Oh, I beg your pardon for that. Our cameraman, that is Mr. Moses Moher. And this is the Tune magazine, a publication of Fountain Media Group, also a sister company to WTV. You can get your copy of this month's Tune magazine in all leading supermarkets and outlets. You can also feel free, send us an SMS or on our SMS number, that is 20058, beginning with the word Tune, and we will surely get to you, and we will provide those magazines for you if you need a subscription. That's all. Have yourselves a terrific night. My name is Zawadi Mudibo.